Okay friends, we're back working on the trunk of the car, and what I want to do is just kind of share with you the complete process of this trunk restoration that we're going to do. You know, we've already been putting a couple coats of this body filler on where the metal, we replaced the metal, and but what I wanted to do is talk about everything we're going to do in the trunk and the products that we're going to use here. So basically what I've been doing is sanding this smooth, as smooth as, you know, fairly smooth, with an 80 grit sandpaper. This is a removing sandpaper. And after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime this, and I'm going to use a filler primer. And what that'll do is that'll fill some of the small, you know, little areas where the sandpaper went. It's a nice, it not only primes the surface for painting, but it fills it. And then basically what we'll have to do is we'll fill it, we'll prime it with this, and then this will also highlight any areas that we may have missed where it's still a little rough. And then what we'll do is we'll use this putty, spot putty, we'll use that to go over and fill just any little imperfections that may exist. And then we'll sand it again with a little bit finer sandpaper. And then we'll wipe that all off, and I like to use just lacquer thinner, some solvent that'll evaporate. And then we'll put another coat of primer on, and just like with the body filler, we're basically going to do that until we got a real smooth surface. Takes several attempts at doing that, and then once we get it, we're not going to get it perfect, because in reality this trunk isn't perfect. It's got stuff on it, but we want to get it as good as we can, and so we'll show you that. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly sand this trunk. I'm going to get anything loose off here, and then I'm going to vacuum that up, and then I'm going to use this lacquer thinner to clean it, because you can see there's a lot of just dirt and grease and crud in here, and this will then make sure the surface is clean. And then we've got some trunk paint. This is a splatter paint for GM vehicles, and what we'll use on the trunk. And then I've also got some truck, this is a bed liner. This stuff dries really hard, and what I'm going to use that on is this area where the spare tire goes, because it looks like they've sprayed this before, but it's with like an undercoating, and it's not hard and scratch resistant. And you can see where the tire has kind of left its mark in there, and so I'm going to use this bed liner, which is, you know, dries hard as a rock, and so we'll use that. And then I've also got some seam sealer. So there's a couple spaces where the original caulk around the seams has come loose as I've been cleaning this, and I'm going to go around and I'm actually going to use a screwdriver and a putty knife, and any place where there's any loose seam sealer, I'm going to fill it, refill it, get it out and refill it with this. And so basically I'm going to get it clean, I'm going to seam sealer it, and then I'll go ahead and do my painting with both the bed liner and with the trunk paint. Okay, so I'll get this out of the way. Friends, here's where you can see some of that seam sealer that has come loose. And this actually came out, see, it should be filled up like that there. And this actually came out when I was power washing it. That's how loose it was. So, and then a little bit here you can see where it came out. And again, I'm going to make sure there's no other loose spots as I clean this out. This really loosens up anything that's on the surface. And then in here, I think what I'm going to do is kind of first scrape it. You got to remind me to keep my mouth shut when I'm working instead of, you know, going getting all This not only kind of cleans up anything that's loose, but it also roughens it up and creates a surface for the paint and the primer to seal to. So what I come across here is a little bit of that, looks like seam sealer. This was probably put on at the factory, just a little bit of over application there. Again, it doesn't hurt nothing, but I'm going to get it off while I'm here. Alright, so some of these areas where it's real intricate, I'm going to have to wind up taking it off the block because it's too square, and I'll have to just use my hands. So I'm getting all the major slack surface areas first. And then I'm also going to vacuum this up because there's quite a bit starting to get in the way of my sandpaper. Now, I'm finding that there is a little bit of surface rust down in here, especially where the tire used to sit. So I'm actually going to put a little bit of rust killer on that and let that dry before I put the truck bed coating on it. Now I'm going in for those areas where I have to do it by hand, because of these weird contours here. Okay. But this is real solid. This is all real solid here. We don't have any rust going on. It's all nice and solid. So that's the good news. What we want to do is just protect it and make sure it stays that way for another 50. I mean, maybe that's going to be the theme here is, you know, another 50. She's 52 years old. I think we mentioned before, we're not trying to turn this into, we're not claiming a full rotisserie, complete frame off, show car. We're building a real nice restored cruiser. I mean, one that you can take out and drive. It's going to look great. It's going to be solid, and it's going to be mechanically sound. Something, again, that if you take care of it, should last another 50 years. That's our goal. So, I mean, we actually will have it off the frame because I'm going to replace those body mounts. But we're not trying to completely separate it and to that extent. So. Yeah,
we're not going to like sandblast the frame. Or
no,
anything.
And, you know, I mean, look, it's not to show, but it's going to be better than 98% of the Rivieras out there. I feel pretty confident to say it's going to be better than most. But we want something that somebody can drive, something that somebody can enjoy and not worry about. Okay, I'm going to vacuum that out, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of my rust killer on the bottom just to seal off that surface rust, and we'll let that dry.
Well, it's just going to be more of this, so we'll be back when we're done with this. Here we are after the first coat. And here we are after the second coat.
Yep, we're going to have to let it dry. We're going to let it dry overnight, and then we'll come back. And I still want to clean it real good. Use that lacquer thinner on it. It's still real dirty. A lot of this is dirt here that'll come off.
Yeah.
And then we can prime and paint it.
It's actually crazy how much dirt there was. You can see how bad,
Yeah.
how clean it is now and how bad it was.
Yeah, there's lots of real bad dirt spots, you know, but that's, I mean, 50 years of, you know, may have had carpet in here at one time, and this stuff goes through the carpet and then gets stuck to the paint. And
Yeah.
but
Anyway.
all right, son. Well, we'll knock it off for tonight. I guess is all we can do. We got to let that dry, so come back tomorrow and proceed with our cleaning. Then we'll do our seam sealing, and then we'll have to let that dry, and then we can start painting. So
Until then, friends.
till then, friends, see you later. So it's the next day, friends, and what we've done is let that rust killer dry. And now what I'm going to do is I've sanded everything. I'm just going to wash it, give it a kind of clean up any vacuumed it earlier, but I'm going to wipe it down.